we're talking about job experiences where you've done things that it's basically whenever you have a story about a workplace that you do something that when you tell the story of, everyone else kind of has their jaw drop, because if they've been in that position, they're like, how did you not get fired?
Oh.
And you're like, well, it's easy because...
Welcome, lovers. I don't know what I'm doing, but you probably already knew that. And welcome, Eraitt. This is my
Hi.
boyfriend.
I've been snaggled into this in a very casual way by her going, hey, let's do a video. And I was like, that sounds fun. So here we are.
You're wibble wobble in the video.
I sure am. Because it's all I can do. I talk with my hands.
Then maybe don't put them on the table.
Okay, so no hands on table. We got that? You got that clear? Good.
Okay.
Good. Let's do it.
We don't know how well the audio is going to work on this because I only have one microphone and it's a clip-on. So we have it clipped onto a cup.
Dice cup. Classic.
But it doesn't always pick up sound all that well, but I can't for the life of me get my computer to connect two mics. So, sorry. As you saw at the beginning, we're talking about things we did at old jobs that probably should have got us fired. So, at my mother's studio, as I've mentioned before, I worked there from when I was like 15, 16, all the way up until like last year. But there was this one time recently, actually. This was like the end of last year, beginning of this year, recently. But I was teaching some like 3 and 4 year olds. I was teaching a 3 and 4 year old class. And one of them just walks up to me. This is actually pretty common, is they'll just walk up to an adult woman and just grab. Like, they'll just grab. And it's not completely abnormal because they're small children and they haven't yet been taught that that's not appropriate. But this particular little girl walked up to me and grabbed and was like, boobies! And I was like, don't touch, that's not appropriate.
She knew what she was going for. She went in for the kill. And she came out a champion.
And she's like, why is it not appropriate? Mom said the only inappropriate part is like, and then she pointed down. And I was like, that's something you gotta talk to your mommy about. And then there was her and one other girl in this class. And so she puts her hands out like she's holding giant boobs and starts walking around like this. Like just pretending she has giant boobs. And then the other little girl watching her copies her. And I'm just sitting there like, oh shit. Oh shit.
This is my life now. Little girls acting like they have giant badonkadons.
But I didn't really know what to do in that situation, so I was just like, how about you talk to your mom about this another time? We have to keep doing class. And it was like almost the end of class, so the only thing we really had left to do was freeze dance, which is a thing that you have the little kids do as like a fun end of class activity. Like you play a song, it'll start and stop, and they have to pause in between. And they usually love that, so it distracted them long enough to kind of do that. But then like halfway through doing that, they started running around doing this while dancing. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
So there I was, teaching kids about dance, and they started freeze dancing. It was great. And then they were like, hey, titties.
And like, obviously it wasn't like, they're kids, they don't really understand why that's not an okay thing. But I was like, I was mortified because half the time kids' parents will watch through like the tinted like window thing, so the kids can't see them, but they can see their kids. And I was like mortified that somebody was gonna walk by and look in and just see this, and I was gonna get in like a lot of trouble. Like that. Thankfully, the mothers were very understanding. Because the one whose daughter started it came to pick up her kid first after class. And I went up to her and very nervously was like, so this thing happened. I told her she should talk to you about it. And I thought you should know. And she was just like, oh my gosh, she's never done that before. Like, oh, I didn't think I'd have to talk about this early. And I was just like, sorry. And then and she was thankfully understanding. The other mom just kind of laughed about it and was like, "Oh, no problem."
The normal reaction.
Yeah,
My kid was acting like they had giant tits. That's hilarious. I'm going to talk to him about it, though, because that's, no.
Yeah. I was so afraid, though, that was going to go worse than it did.
So, you talk about that, and it seems like my situation, because I was thinking of one and I thought of another. Yours is a lot tamer than mine, because the story I thought of was one time a long while back when I was 21 and I was working at Blockbuster. There's a dated reference. I was an assistant manager after working there a month. I don't know how. They were desperate. So...
You're also a good worker.
Yeah. Anyway, so I worked the morning shift, which was 10. I had to be there at 9 a.m. and I worked until 4 p.m. So I got out, I went home, and then my boss had told me, hey, make sure you get there at night about 11:30 because we're going to do a reset. We're going to make the store immaculate because we're going to have people come and visit, and they're going to tell us like what we need to do, if it's tidy, if it's dead, what our stock is like, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to scan all the movies so we know what we actually have in store. And I'm like, cool, this sounds great. This sounds awesome. This is going to be a pain in the butt, but money. 11:30 I get there. Actually, I got there at 10:30. It's because we were starting at 11 because we closed at 11. So she takes me outside and she's like, yeah, a little bit ago, or she ended up saying, I got a call from a customer that was very upset about the rings you were wearing. And I said, they were upset about the rings I was wearing, but they didn't tell me.
You mean your big ones?
Yeah, it was just Raijin and
Fujin?
No, Alexander, because they were the original too.
He named them.
Yes, they're good. They're nice. Anyway, so I just wore them. I was just, working. Nobody said a word the entire time I was there. Just like, oh, nice rings, and that's it. And she tells me, like, yeah, you can't be wearing those, and this is the second time someone's complained about you, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm sitting there, and I stop, because it dawns on me, and I'm like, Amanda, when did this person call? Oh, like 20 minutes ago. Right before we closed. I said, okay, cool. And how well did they describe me? Perfectly. Like, the curly hair, the way you dress, the rings, everything. I'm like, okay. And, phone number? She goes, oh, it's a block number. And I'm like, what was their names? And she goes, I don't really remember, but I remember that when I asked them their name, they kind of paused. And I'm like, so these people perfectly described me, but couldn't remember their own names. Huh. And she just looked at me, and the lights came on, and she goes, oh. I said, yeah, how about we go to work? She goes, that sounds great. And we just went inside and never talked about it again. There was also another time where she was, she had run into some, it was during a work shift, this was bad. There was two girls that essentially took advantage of her kindness, repetitively, like they were having her buy them dinner and do all their blah blah blah, and she wouldn't listen to me, so I did what any rational human being would do. I headbutted my boss full force in the face during a shift.
What?
I headbutted the store manager full force in the middle of a shift to knock sense into her and make her realize that she was being manipulated. And it worked. I don't know how.
It worked?
Yes. Middle of the shift, there's no one in the store, and I'm like, you realize these people are taking advantage of you? She goes, no, what are you talking about? I'm like, they've literally been using you for money and meals and everything. She's like, no, I'm just being really nice, and they said da-da-da-da-da. And I went, bah! Straight forehead contact. And she flailed back. She's like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, you are being manipulated. And she goes, and I'm like, good, it worked.
How did that bring the lights on?
I don't know. I will also mention this is the same boss that the power went out for the store, but she had to be there because like the database was down, but the store she could like check in movies and stuff. So she's laying there. She took a Yoshi backpack and put it on the floor and was laying down behind the counter. And she called me. She's like, you have to help me. I was like, what do you need me to do? She's like, bring me booze. And I'm like, Eraitt. So I got a bottle of Jack Daniels, I have a flask, I pour it in the flask, I carry it into the store, I'm like, hey boss, how's everything going? And she's just like, thank you. You're the best. Have a great day. I'm like, this place is run like a madhouse, but boy, am I making money.
Alright.
Making like $9.50 an hour, just telling people, no, we don't have that in stock. No, that's not how that works. And yes, I'm right.
Oh, like the guy that like screamed at you on the phone.
Yes, a guy called me and said, I just got charged $60 on my credit card. I'm like, well, sir, let's see what's going on. What's your name? Clackety, clackety, clackety. Okay, right here it says you didn't turn in a game. And he's like, yes, I did. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You turned in the case. I have it sitting here. You didn't turn in the disc, though, so it didn't count. You stupid mother... I'm not talking to him.
Yeah.
Bring, bring. Wow, thank you for calling Blockbuster. My name's Eraitt. How can I help you? Did you just F and hang up on me, you piece of shit? That's a fun. Click. Yes, it sure is a nice day in this building. Ring, ring. You motherfucker. So let's hope some customers come in soon. Ring, ring. Hello. Why do you keep hanging up on me? I said, well, sir, I'm here to help you, regardless of what you may think. And I'm not going to listen to you curse at me because I don't deserve that. So calm down and I'll help you. Later that day, he showed up with a disc in hand. His son had left it in the Xbox. Who would have thought it?
I wish I was allowed to do that when I worked at TC.
I got away with so many things. The dumbest. One of my favorite things to prove to me that customers are idiots is a woman walked up to me with her child, her little toddler, and she goes, "Can I use the restroom?" I said, "Unfortunately, now our bathroom is out of order. Somebody took the roll of toilet paper and just shoved it in there and it got clogged. We're waiting for the plumber to come." Even for her?
What?
The bathroom is out of order. Means for everyone.
Yeah.
Just because it's a toddler doesn't mean it's gonna flush different. We're gonna stick it in the sink, it'll be fine. We'll just mash the shit down the drain.
Oh my god.
I missed that job. There was so much stuff that was so bad.
Oh, you shook the camera.
Oh boy, did I.
Like a lot.
Now that we're done with a Richter 2.4 earthquake, let's return to our regularly scheduled broadcast.
You actually reminded me of, when I worked at TC, we'd get a lot of people who would call to order things who were just pranking, or just call and prank. And at one point, I think it was during like the last couple of months that I worked there, the first round, and we started getting calls from this little kid. Like, little boy, obviously 8 or younger. You can tell by his voice.
A child.
And he's like, I ordered 300 sopapillas. And it's
Were
like...
they even that good?
Our sopapillas are not great. They're really not.
Ew.
And so we'd be like, is your mom home? And he'd just, like, start laughing. And he kept calling repetitively, like, not as in every day, as in multiple times within the span of a certain shift every day. So we actually had to keep track of the phone number and then just not answer it whenever that phone number came up.
Wow.
Because he kept calling. And at one point when I was talking to him, because I answered the phone without checking on like a really busy night because I was working drive-through like I always did, and we were running around and I needed to answer the phones because the people on the line kind of couldn't. And I answered, and he started talking, and then his mom was like, "What are you doing?" and picked up the phone and said, "Who is this?"
Well, ma'am, it's Taco Cabana, and your son's been prank calling us for the past 2 months. Thank you for finally stopping him.
Yeah.
You'll be rewarded a number 1 meal for free.
If I could have done that, I would have. But I was like, "Oh yes, hi, this is Taco Cabana," and I told her our location. I was like, "Yeah, your son's been calling us at least 13 times a day, every day for a good couple of months now, and it's been blocking up our phones." And she was like super apologetic about it. It was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe that happened." And then she ended it with, "I'm gonna put the phone on a high shelf when I'm not home." And I was just like,
You make
all right.
a step ladder. Oh, Mom, I need to call TB. TC.
Yeah, TC. But after that, like, we didn't get any calls after that.
That's good.
Like, that's not a I could have gotten fired story, but that's a I don't.
Still a funny story.
Yeah. Fun fact though, some of the people that worked there, like, there was a whole group of us that were like real good friends. Like, it was me, Garrick, Chris, Kenny, Giannis, Steven, Weiss, like a little group of us that were just like close, I guess, in terms of work friendship. And Giannis started compiling a list of crazy ways to get fired. And like every day somebody else would come up with a new one. It's like weird way number 362 to get fired. And like I don't even remember most of what was on that list, but like a lot of it was super weird, like taking the raw meat and sticking it on the underside of the flat top. And ironically, a bunch of the ways we added to the list were things that the bitch manager would do. Like,
and even talk about management and firing, because when it comes to management and firing, whenever it comes to the lower employees of anywhere, the higher people are like, fired, no problem, just fire.
Yeah.
But then it's like management, they're like, but did they really do something wrong?
Yeah.
They shot a customer, but did the customer have it coming? The customer ordered a number 2 with a Diet Coke. See, that's why, the Diet Coke, they're just trying to avoid that. They need to go full speed. What?
Oh my goodness. Like, we had our meat drawers. That sounds so weird.
Go into the fridge and put on your meat drawers. You're going out to spin the sign.
I mean, on the line we had a little thing with heated and cooled drawers on it next to the flat top and the other stove.
Nice.
And we would put the cut up steak in the top, the cut up chicken in the one after that, and then the bottom 2 drawers would be the refrigerated ones that hadn't been cooked yet. But the bottom right one was broken. And like we had a sign stuck to it that says do not use broken. But every day when bitch manager would run morning shift,
BM, for those who like to abbreviate things.
Every single time she worked morning shift, I would come in, because I was always the in-between shift person who would come in around like 11 or 12 and then stay through dinner shift. I would open it up and there would just be meat in there and it would smell so bad because that was the side that the chicken went into. And I ended up having to throw away pounds of chicken every day. And like there were a couple times where it was like me or Giannis or somebody else who would take it out and throw it away, and BM would catch us and be like, what are you doing? I'm going to write you up for throwing away perfectly good meat. And thankfully at some point we figured out that if we pull it out, stick the temperature gauge in it and take a picture, and we told her that we did that, then she would suddenly be like, oh, never mind.
Oh, it's different. You guys have evidence. Shit.
Yeah. Sometimes she'd like not believe that we'd actually do anything about it, even if we had the picture, and still try to write us up. She did that to Kenny, and boy, did he go after her. It was great.
It makes me think about, you said that, the nasty chicken, and it makes, back when I worked at Domino's, the make lines, honestly, when it comes to making food, is one of the best inventions ever done, because you can put all of your ingredients on the top, from start, toppings, and finishers. So they'd have the people starting from the left, they switched it up, now it's from the right to the left. So you can slap out your pizza, you do your sauce, guy put cheese in, the top. And it was refrigerated. It was great. But then came the downside. It's time to close. So you take all the food out of the drop trays. Some of it is really bad, so you just throw it away because it's like wet
And stuck
cheese.
to the thing.
No, it wasn't stuck in it. Like we had pull-out trays to catch the food, but it was still just like disgusting. So we'd take it, chuck it, get yelled at, and I'd say, well, up yours. It's nasty. We're not making stuff with it. We don't care. But then we had to defrost it because it would build up cold and then just freeze. As this would happen, you'd go down to the part where you turned off the make line because you had to turn off the top at night. And then after you scraped all the ice out and got all the gunk out, you had to put hot water in there.
Yeah, we had a thing like that.
Well, then you'd take that bucket that you had the hot water in, you'd put it under where there's this neat little spigot,
Yeah.
and you turn it and hold your breath, otherwise you'd gag. Because, unlike what they want you to believe, they don't do that every day. So it would be like 3 days worth of nasty food that went into the little drain, and it would smell horrendous.
Thankfully, because I had the really good manager, and we worked the night shift, especially because during the week we actually closed it, then she would actually have us clean it every day. Because we had it where you fill up water to a certain point in those container things, and then you take the containers with the food in it and stick it in there. It would keep it hot or cold, and then you'd have to clean them out after. We did it every day because we had a good manager on our shift.
And because it was hygienic, which, she cared about.
Yeah. I always had, anytime that I worked the line before I couldn't anymore because of the eczema, I always had to ask somebody else to clean the cold side because I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because I have a hypersensitivity to cold. But, I would try. I'd at least get it started because I can knock the ice off of the side of it.
Yeah.
But after that, I can't reach my hand in because it's too cold. But anytime that BM would work there, because one of her favorite things to do was threaten you with reducing your hours, reducing your pay, firing you, none of which she had the authority to do. She just wanted you to think she did. She was like, you have to clean this, it's your line. It's like, actually, we have an arrangement where I will clean all of the hot stuff, my side and theirs, if they clean all of the cold stuff, my side and theirs. And the cold area is smaller than the warm area.
Whoa, you can't compromise and make things work. That doesn't...
Yeah, she was like that about
Wah.
She absolutely hated any time we did anything efficient. The original GM we had when I first started working there got fired for a multitude of reasons. But, oh, I knocked the table.
That'd be a good blooper.
Come here. Oh, we had you know how when you go somewhere that has soft drinks, you have those little spigots?
Yes.
Yeah, I was taught by the good manager that you screw off the spigots and soak them in, I forget what the liquid was, but it cleaned them so that every liquid you poured out of them wouldn't taste like bacteria. And I would do that whether I was in the drive-thru or in the front at least every 2 or 3 days.
Good.
But
that's a really good thing. I mean, imagine tasting anything. It's bad enough when you drink one of the drinks at a fast food place and it's flat or syrupy or not enough, and you're like, wow, I love this carbonated water with a spritz of Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Actually, no, it was Giannis that taught me that, and then when this thing happened, I forgot for a while until the good manager.
It's a bit surprising.
Okay. I would pull those off every couple of days to try and clean them. But the old GM that we had would get mad at me for it. He'd be like, oh, you're supposed to be running the drive-thru and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, sir, I've been running the drive-thru for a while, and my salsas are all stocked. I'm stocked on cups. Everything is clean. My receipts are already counted because there's no one coming through the drive-thru.
So you're telling me that this man got angry with you because you went above and beyond expectations?
Yes.
See, this is what's wrong with America today.
But,
They just can't be... Oh, wow, you're so great. Thanks for doing extra work. That makes sense. Not, how dare you do extra work.
But he told me that I need to not be doing that, and then I explained what I just told you, and he was like, that doesn't matter. You should be helping the other people on the line or in the kitchen or up front if you're not doing that. And I'm like, well, these need to get cleaned, don't they? And he's like, leave that to your manager, who never did it ever, because at the time it was just the crap manager. I mean, there were 2 other managers, but they were also crappy. One of them was okay, but he was kind of lazy and tried to play it off as if he wasn't.
I know a guy like that.
So I was like, all right, fine. You're going to fire me for doing this? I'm going to stop doing this. And then when we get complaints that people are getting sick because there's bacteria in the drinks, it won't be my fucking fault. So that's a stupid thing I could have gotten fired for.
How about that?
This has just kind of turned into random ranting time.
That's okay. It happens.
Yeah.
Let's switch to another funny story. So back when I worked at Domino's, because that was a good 3 years of my life, which I don't really regret it. I just regret the people I ran into, because almost everyone who got into a management position had that stupid thing where the power goes to their head, so they think they're better than you, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, dude, you make $2 more than me an hour, and you don't get tips. Stop acting like you're great. Like, you're a butthole. I can do your job better than you. And I don't want to, because it's stress that I don't need. But one day, because it was me and one other guy, his name was Patrick. We were the closers. No one else wanted to close. Everyone, hey, make me work late. I'm like, dude, sweet, I can take my time.
Closing's not
We
even
close
hard.
at midnight. I get out at 1 because I'll take my time cleaning the whole store by myself.
Yeah, closing is more tedious than it is hard.
And I had like a method to it, and it worked out great. It was awesome. Well, one day, the manager I had at the time, so Samantha goes ahead and is like, hey, clean the store, usual, blah, blah, blah. Because the manager, you had one of two types of managers whenever you closed. I will do the money stuff and then I will help you, or I will do the money stuff and then hurry up, I want to go home. So she was number 2. Sometimes she was number 1. It was weird. She's the switch, not the fun kind either. So, well, one day I'm cleaning and I get to the final part, which is good old sweeping and mopping, which my favorite. I freaking love sweeping and mopping. It's so simple.
I like sweeping, but I hate mopping.
It has that super fulfilling feel of, accomplishment, because the floor looks hugely different. When you work in a food industry and you clean the floor, the before and after you clean it is so huge that it's like, I did something amazing. I can see the blue of the tiles.
Hey, it's not black anymore.
Yeah, it's just horrifying. Anyway, so I got that, and I'm doing the mopping, and I'm like, la da 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 da. I do the front, I shut off the lights, I do the back, and I glance in. So she's in the office, and I just glance in, and I'm like, oh, she's asleep. She wrapped herself up in the coat and just like, no, we had a Santa costume. She took the Santa coat out of the closet, folded it up, and put it down and laid on it like a pillow. We would dress up during holidays and go to Banner Shake.
Okay.
So we had a Santa outfit, we had a Gumby outfit, it was whatever. Don't ask. Wild times at Domino's High. So she had passed out, and I'm like, okay, we're doing this. We're gonna do this. I shut off all the lights except the one in the office, and very carefully closed the back door when I left. And then I went home. And, I was actually, since I'm a good person, and it's hard for me to say that because I don't really believe it.
I do.
Anyway, those voices keep talking weird. I felt guilty, and I'm like, you know what? What if she's still asleep at that store? What if it's like she just slept there all night and no one ever bothered her? So I went, and it was like 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning, and I looked, and the vehicle was gone. I was like, oh, good, she went home. I wonder if she did the money stuff, since it's not as threatening as you think. You go up to the store, you open a thing, drop it, close it, and you leave. But they're like, no, we have to have another person with us in case someone tries to rob us, or what if we try to steal the money? And I'm like, I really don't think you do that, because that would be your job.
Yeah, we have in TC, we had our little money drops like directly under the registers.
Big city. Well, we had like a thing to drop the money in, and then you'd open it up, take it out, and you have to go deposit it.
Oh yeah, no, we couldn't open it. We had these special safes that were from a particular company, so in case somebody came to try and rob us, no one in the store was even capable of opening them.
Hey Loomis, we know that you do a great job with picking up money from places. You should totally sponsor us. Wink.
We don't do sponsors.
We could though.
It like maybe 30 subscribers.
But like, it'd be great. Imagine if like Loomis was like, you know what? Deal. Here's $1,000. Just mention us.
I don't think that's how that works.
I don't know how sponsorship works. I've been sponsored once.
Yeah, but
So what ended up happening is the next day, she came into work. There was another manager working the morning shift, and I was working like, I think it was a split shift or something. And she came in and she's like, "You left me there sleeping last night, and I couldn't deposit the money away. And you can't tell anyone, otherwise your ass is in trouble for sleeping on the job."
Mm-hmm.
And she went, "Have a great day at work."
Like she was gonna get you in trouble. And
Like she was like, she just played it off as a joke because she knew if she said anything,
yep,
she'd be burned. "Oh, you left her there alone. She was sleeping on the job. Who's more worse? It's not my job to take care of her. I'm not a parent. She's older than me. Hag."
What?
She's older than me. Hag.
Oh my god. You're not even that old.
I was a child. I was 22 at the time.
I'm 23.
And I'm an old man.
Do you think I'm a child?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I was a child, though, when I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
Our mentalities are very different at that age.
Fair.
All I cared about was video games and sleep.
I mean, all I really cared about was YouTube and sleep, so.
That was a year ago.
Yeah.
Last year, you cared about 3 things.
YouTube, and sleep.
Yeah! Woo-hoo! It's been over a year, and let me just tell you, it's fantastic.
I have no idea if it could pick that up.
Just centrally whisper into the microphone and hope it takes up your wildest desires.
ASMR!
I'm sorry, but the only time I ever think of ASMR, the only thing I can ever think of is the one about like the nun and you have the Black Plague, or just imagining someone be like, "I'm doing an ASMR," and they're just chewing chips very loud. I don't know, that's how I say it.
It's a...
ASMR?
Yeah,
ASMR, that's how I say it.
Okay.
So all I can imagine is that, or like
is it
someone
like
just...
the Prindle?
No. That's different. That's just silly. No running in my lobby!
Okay. Do you have any more stories to share
A lot of stories to share.
that you feel like sharing today?
No, I think that we did a good job. I think we did enough damage today.
Yeah, no, I wasn't fully prepared coming into this one, so I didn't have a whole lot.
It's okay, because teamwork makes the dream work.
It's better than when I did a video with my sister. I love her to death, but she was just like awkward and making random noises the entire time. And didn't actually tell any stories.
She's just like a Muppet.
I was like, we're gonna tell stories about our childhood together. And then I told a bunch of stories, and she was just silly and adorable.
So you started that off and you made it seem like it was not that great, and then you ended it and it was like, it was fantastic, but she didn't say much.
Yeah, essentially. I got a lot of bloopers out of it, though.
You got us in that first half, I ain't gonna lie.
That's gonna be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, that's perfectly okay and perfectly understandable, but hopefully I'll see you in the next one anyway.
I don't know when she's gonna post it, but I hope you guys have a wonderful month and enjoy Pride.
Pride Month! Pride Month! I hope you guys' day is just as lovely as you are. Bye-bye.
What did the walnut say when a person picked up a hammer near it?
What?
What's cracking?
Okay, that's a good one.